Hello, and welcome to Theory in Plain English, Reading Identities. This is the first in a series of videos about reading identities. Today's video will provide a quick explanation about the broader concept of identity, and more specifically, reading identities. Broadly speaking, the term identity has numerous definitions and encompasses a broad range of theoretical perspectives. I understand identities as being socially and culturally constructed based on the norms of an individual's environment and how they understand and view themselves in relation to those norms. Identities are formed, reformed, or reinforced based on the cultural practices of a given context. The cultural practices that contribute to identity formation are grounded in models of identity. Models of identity provide a framework or a rule book for what it means to be a particular type of person within a given context and can serve as a way for individuals to understand themselves and each other. People have a variety of identities, and you can see I listed some here, such as writer, teacher, and student, but there are many others. Each of these identities has models that provide a framework for what it means to embody it. For example, if you identify yourself as a writer, then you likely have an understanding of what it means to hold that identity. Someone might say that a writer is someone who writes on a regular basis for any reason or purpose. Others might say a writer is someone who is published. We may not always agree on what it means to hold a particular type of identity, but we each have models for these identities that we have picked up over the course of our life through interactions in our communities. Each identity often has sub-identities. For example, someone who identifies themselves as a professional writer might have very different criteria for doing so than someone who identifies themselves as a writer but who writes as a hobby. Sometimes you'll also see that we qualify identities. For example, we have models for what it means to be a good writer or a bad writer. Let's take this concept of identity and get a bit more specialized. One of the identities that we all hold is a reading identity. Reading identities can be understood as how capable individuals believe they are in comprehending texts, the value they place on reading, and their understandings of what it means to be a particular type of reader within a given context. It's pretty common to think of reading identities in terms of if someone is a good or bad reader, and we often base this decision about our own reading identities or the reading identities of others in relation to how well we think they read and understand texts. Reading identities are actually pretty complicated and complex things. I hope this video has given you a basic overview of what they are. In future videos, I plan to address how reading identities are formed, how they influence academic literacy development, and what teachers can do to understand and respond to them. Here are some references if you're interested in additional reading about identity. And for more ideas on how to apply current literacy theory and research to your classroom, check out my blog, leahall.wordpress.com.